Okay, so for the first part of this video, I want you to just watch while I kind of explain what we're going to be doing, and then I'll tell you when I want you to actually start following along and working on your paper. So we're going to be doing a 2-point perspective drawing, and I want to talk for a second about the difference between 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective. So in both of them, you start with the horizon line. The horizon line is where the ground and the sky look like they meet, right? When you look far away, you can sort of see that the blue comes all the way down to the ground. We call that the horizon line. So in 1-point perspective, we are going to have that horizon line and a 2-point perspective. We are going to, if you had me last year as a 6th grader, then you've done 1-point perspective before, and probably even if you're in 8th grade, you've done it before, because we did a bunch of different kinds of 1-point perspective lessons. In 1-point perspective, you start with the face of something. So let's say that I'm making this box and I just have a square. It's facing me. 1-point perspective is always facing you. We have a vanishing point here in the center. What you do in 1-point is all of those edges, all the corners of this box, are going to come back to that 1 point. And normally I would draw a little lighter than I'm drawing here, but I want to make sure it shows up in the video. And then you decide, okay, this line, I need a parallel line straight across here to end my box, and a parallel line straight up and down here. Okay, there's my box. It is now in 1-point perspective. Everything went to that 1 point, and I can erase these extra lines if I want to. So that's 1-point perspective. It has a flat face that's facing you, and it goes to 1 point. 2-point perspective is a little bit different. It's like we've taken, instead of looking at the front of a box, we're now going to be looking at the corner. And I realize it's a really big box, but, and so we're going to draw the edge of it, just a straight line on our 2-point perspective. So we're going to have 2 points now. So why don't you go ahead and pause this video for a second and draw a horizon line. I've made mine just slightly higher than the middle, and you want to take your ruler and make sure it's nice and flush with the edge of your paper so it's nice and straight. Or, and even better, you can measure. So you can measure down and say, okay, this one's at 3.5 or 4, and I'm going to go 3.5 or 4 over here, whatever mark, and then connect those lines. So pause the video, make a horizon line. Okay, you have your horizon line. You're going to make 2 points on it, because this is 2-point perspective. I'm going to put a point on one corner and one on the other. So basically the 2 ends of your paper where your line ends. Those are my 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and put my name on the back for my 2-point perspective. You should do the same. All right, so what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make 5 boxes that are not facing us like they were in 1 point, but rather we're looking at the corner of them. So we're going to start by making one below the horizon line. We're just going to go off on the right side of the paper here, and you're going to make a line that's straight up and down. And so again, I'm going to try to use the edge of my paper here to line up with the ruler to help it stay nice and straight. And I'm going to draw a line, and I draw light so I can erase if I want to. So that line is going to be the edge of my box. And I'm going to say that there's a point at the top and a point at the bottom, as there is in a line, right? And I'm going to take those points to both of my vanishing points. So I'm going to draw real light so I can erase, and I'm doing it darker in the video than you need to. You try to draw real light to connect that and that. And you do the same thing on the bottom. And anytime you need to pause the video to catch up, just go ahead and pause the video to catch up. Okay, now that I have those 2 points, I'm going to draw the end of my box. These have to also be straight up and down. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to make sure it's on the edge of this as straight as possible, so that I might get a line that's nice and parallel to this one right here. And I'm going to say, okay, that's where my box ends. And I didn't go above that. I just went in that little triangle that I had drawn. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to make this box a little bit skinnier this direction. Nice and parallel to this. If it's all crooked, I'm going to erase it. Okay, so get those two lines drawn. Pause it if you need to. Okay, so now here's where 2-point gets really cool. I'm going to take the top point of both of these new lines, and I'm going to draw those. I'm going to connect those to their opposite vanishing point. So this one's on the right. I'm going to go to the vanishing point on the left. This one's on the left. I'm going to go to the vanishing point on the right, and it's going to draw the top of my box for me. So I'm the one on the right, I'm taking over to the left. And hopefully you can see that drew kind of light. And the one on the left, I'm taking to that vanishing point on the right. It's important that you take your time to make sure this point and this point are both showing before you draw that line. Okay, the top of my box was just drawn for me. So then I can erase out those extra lines, or I can come back and do that later. But that's why we draw light, because we really don't need those lines anymore. And it probably would be good practice for us, since we're trying to make 5 total boxes, and a little less confusing if we do take our time to erase them as we work. So there's one. Can make one. It gets a little confusing when you're directly in the middle, so you might want to have them off to one side or the other. But when you're at the top, it's very, very similar. You make that line, and you're going to take those 2 points to both vanishing points. So go ahead and do it at the top with me, and then you'll continue on your own. Pause it if you need to. We're going to take both of those to both vanishing points. It's going to be just the same as the one we just did. The difference is going to be that now I'm going to draw the bottom of my box by making those parallel lines. And again, I'm going to try to get 5 total, which we will also be shading, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. But now once I've drawn those sides, then again, I take them to their opposite side. So I'm going to take the one on the right over to the left using my ruler, the one on the left over to the right with my ruler. And then erase those lines out, and I've got my second one. So again, your goal here is to get 5. If you understand what you're doing, you can stop the video at this point and just continue on making more boxes. Or if you're confused, you can back up, try those again. I will go ahead and make one more in the video that you can watch if you want to work along with me one more time. So I'm just going to put this one, lots of room here on the bottom, so I'm going to put one over here. Start with one line. And I'm trying to, make these kind of different sizes from each other as well, just to get a little variety here. Taking that line, both the top and the bottom, to both vanishing points. Now I'm not going to probably draw right over top of my other box. I'm going to just stop when I get there, because we're going to come back and erase those anyway. So I might make this box a little bit bigger than the last couple. And then I'm going to take these to their opposite vanishing points to draw the top of my box. Okay, and I can erase those lines out. I've got my third box. You can make it higher or lower on the paper. It will change it a little bit. It's kind of cool to see the way the boxes look a little different depending on where they are on the paper. So I can make another one down here. I can make another one up here. In total, I want to end up with 5 or more boxes.